A couple days ago, Jayson Tatum was on Jimmy Fallon, and among the other things they talked about was Jimmy Fallon was doing predictions for the upcoming season, and one of the questions he asked Tatum was, who do you think is going to be the MVP next season? And Tatum said, can I pick myself? Now, I don't think this question and answer should be taken 100% seriously. I don't think this means Tatum is going to be gunning for the MVP. I don't think that means he has his eyes necessarily set on the MVP. I know Kendrick Perkins talked about how that was a really selfish answer. I don't think it should be taken so seriously. It's one of those questions that athletes get asked where it's like, who do you want them to say? Like, wouldn't it be weirder if he was like, yeah, I think SGA is going to win MVP or Luke is going to win MVP? Like, no, of course you're going to say yourself. So it's not something you should really take so seriously. It's not something you have to keep your eye on for next season. But that being said, it is September. There's really not a lot of news going on. So I figured I'd ask the question. Can Jayson Tatum win MVP next season? How likely is it that Jayson Tatum can win MVP next season? And I'll start right off the bat by just saying I don't think it's so likely, but it's not because of any like insult to Jayson Tatum. I just think like if you look at the history of MVPs, when you're trying to win your first MVP, there's this sort of burst onto the scene element. There's like this ascension that I feel like you really need to have, where you really need to elevate your game and your level of play and your team success to a level that I think really stands out and catches everyone's attention. And I think also because we're also infatuated with like the new and shiny thing, it's got to be new and it's got to be fresh. And so with Tatum, like it's sort of like a detriment to him, but like he doesn't really have like that just stuff doesn't really exist because I don't really know how much higher, there's not so much room to elevate yourself when you're coming off a 64 win season and you just average 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. So it's like, how much more does he have to elevate? He's already established as one of the 10 best players in the NBA, just won the championship. So it's like, he's sort of already like firmly established in the NBA hierarchy. So I just don't really know how much, like where he could possibly go to make people think differently about him in a much better way. I mean, the only comparison I could possibly have to what Tatum could in theory do to win MVP is Steph Curry in 2016. It was kind of a similar thing, right? The Warriors win the championship in 2015, win 67 games. Steph Curry ascends to superstar status, wins MVP. And so it was sort of a similar thing. It's like, well, how much higher could you possibly go? The answer for Steph was 73 wins and the greatest shooting season I've ever seen, 402 three-pointers, by far the most of all time. And so what does that kind of season look like for Tatum? I mean, from a team success, you could argue like, hey, if they could at least crack 70, like 74 is just like, we all said 72 was impossible. I think 74 might be, or we said 73 was impossible. I think 74 might just be like really impossible, just with the amount of talent that's in the NBA today. So you'd probably have to start like at least 70 wins there, and then like just, I don't know, continue to build up, like maybe crack 30 points, shoot better, make all defensive first team. Like it would really have to be like something really tangible and noticeable at both ends and with the team success. And the team success, it's slightly possible. I mean, you win 64 games and then you come off a championship, and we know, I think, coming off a championship, it gives you a certain confidence boost that you didn't otherwise have, knowing that you like understand how to get it done even when things get rough. The downside for the Celtics obviously is that Porzingis is going to miss, I think, the first couple of months with an injury, so that obviously dampens those chances. But like it's just again, like it's hard to see it happening for Tatum, but it's not because like of why people might say like, oh, he's not good enough to win MVP and he sucks and he's not like the real best player and he's a choke and blah blah blah, like all the criticisms we've seen from him in the playoffs and over the summer and during the Olympics. It's not that. It's just like there's just not really like he's basically at the ceiling. He's at the ceiling, whereas I feel like other guys like a Luka and an SGA, I think those guys can still elevate, whether it's their individual games or their team success, to a level that I think would really just catch the attention of everyone in a way that I think would really get an MVP campaign rolling, whereas Tatum is sort of like already at the top. So like, I don't think it's going to happen. It'd be very crazy to see it happening because it would probably mean a truly historic season from Tatum. But at the same time, like I said at the top, I don't necessarily blame him for saying that he predicts he's going to win MVP. One, because I think he was like sort of joking, but also two, like what else are you supposed to say? So I guess we'll see what's going to happen in the upcoming season. Celtics are trying to repeat, and if that comes along with an MVP for Tatum, I don't think he'll be that upset.